Hey, Amy,
Yeah, Juan.
give me that beat.
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amie Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? She is Amie Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. You are listening or watching Baseball Shangri-La. If you are listening to us on the audio version, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Rate us, write us a review, help spread the word. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us comments. We love engaging with you. This is your homework assignment. Let other people know about Baseball Shangri-La. If you like what you're seeing, if you like what you're hearing, let other Dodger fans know about us. Have them come join the party. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media, on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. And a pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. Amy, ¿cómo estás? How was your weekend?
It was long. I love 4-day weekends. Can we get more of those?
Oh, you had Friday off?
Oh, you didn't have. Oh, I mean, sorry.
Yeah, you know what? This is the thing is, except for with the exception, I think there's certain places. If you are working in a back office type type job, I think you should automatically get Friday off because no one's in the office. All I get is a bunch of out of office emails while I'm working.
I mean, even when I was still in accounting, we always got Friday off. You
Yeah,
get work on Friday?
it
Dang.
just feels
Slave
like.
drivers.
Look, it was very super productive for me, but I just, yeah, I'm a little jealous of you guys who got the 4 days.
You know what I
So,
did all day Friday?
what did you do all day Friday?
Nothing.
You weren't shopping? Women be shopping.
Oh, there's a stereotype for you.
You've never seen Nutty Professor? For those of you watching, if you guys get that reference, let me know in the comments.
I mean, I probably saw it a while ago. I saw the original. And so when was it Eddie Murphy who did the remake?
Yeah,
Yeah, I might have seen it, but
I get it. You're a Jerry Lewis fan, right?
I mean.
Jerry Lewis to Eddie Murphy? Is that where you stand?
I
Is that
mean, I
is
don't
that the
have a
hill you're
problem.
dying on?
I don't have a problem with Eddie Murphy. I mean, he's great. I got some ice cream.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, she countered my Nutty Professor reference with a delirious reference. And you
Mhm.
can't afford it.
'Cause you're on the welfare and
There
your
we go.
dad's an alcoholic.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen.
Speaking of movies, we had some other viewers, listeners go see Gladiator 2 this weekend.
Do you want to start with the comments corner then?
Oh, yeah,
All right,
let's
let's
do
go with
that.
the comments corner. Go ahead.
Did you have anything you wanted to lead off with other than
I do. I want to address some of the comments we got in the comments corner. So again, guys, look, and this is for you guys. I know we really appreciate you guys who listen on the podcast, but for those of you who watch on the YouTube, this is why we love your comments and you guys engaging. We want to incorporate what you guys are saying in those chats into the show. So, Amy, go ahead.
Yeah, so we actually I think Dan the man had seen Gladiator 2, one of I think a sometimes listener, Sam, who I interact with on Twitter. He saw it. Everything I'm hearing is people liked it. So sounds like it's getting a big hold on. Oh god. It's so
Uh-oh.
heavy. It's so heavy. A big thumbs up.
Ladies and gentlemen, the thumb of judgment, the thumb of judgment is here. I still have not seen it. It appears that a lot of people went to the movies this past weekend because Moana made record-setting numbers in terms of the box office, but Wicked and Gladiator 2 also. So it was.
I saw Wicked too. It was good.
What were your thoughts on Wicked?
I liked it. I read the books a couple years ago, and so I liked that it was a little bit more I never saw the play. My best friend saw the play. What I'm hearing is there's a little bit of a disconnect, but I'm also hearing that it might be because it's more geared towards following the books. I don't know. I'll leave that to more.
Thank you for clarifying that because for me, I did not think that movie needed to be in two parts. The musical is 2.5 hours or 240, and the first part of Wicked is 240. But I think it makes sense what you're saying now. I feel like they did incorporate a lot from the book into the movie, so that makes sense.
And it's a 4-book series. So if you're going more like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, like it sounds like it's going to be
Nerd alert.
Oh my God. Oh, I watched some Lord of the Rings this weekend too. Not gonna lie.
9 hours of walking, ladies and gentlemen. 9 hours of walking.
How you feel about Lord of the Rings is how I feel about hiking. I'm like, but you're just walking somewhere.
Well,
You're
why don't you
calling
just
it something else, but
when you go on a hike, why can't you just pretend you're one of the Lord of the Rings characters?
because I don't like walking that much. Like, can I bike? Can I ride my bike?
My daughter, who's an elite athlete but hates walking. Like, if I tell her we're
Mhm.
gonna walk anywhere, she's like, "Oh, can we just drive?" And I'm like, "It's literally a 5-minute walk." But
We did get some other comments on, I think it was Jose Ayala was asking, "Do you wanna pronounce the Korean baseball player's name since he's your
Huyun Suk
favorite?"
Chang. Huyun Suk Chang.
Okay.
You
I'm
don't
not.
you don't think I'm doing it right?
I mean, you might be right. Hyun Suk Jang. I don't know. I hope we're doing justice to him, but he did ask if he was still playing, if if there were any updates on him. He is in the minor league in why am I spacing on
He's
low A?
Yes.
He's with the Quakes, and so
Rancho Cucamonga.
I threw up some of the stats in the comments for Jose Ayala. So.
Do you still have those stats by any chance, if
I
anybody's curious?
do. Yeah, so he pitched in 18 games. He had a 1.3 win-loss record. He has a 6.14 ERA, pitched 36.2 innings, and then 65 strikeouts.
Yeah, so Jose, one of the things I think we need to remember about Young Suk Jang is
Good
that
job. Good
he's
job.
he's 20 years old. And I think he is still a project because when the Dodgers signed him, he never played in the KBO. Okay. And I think what happens, especially with a lot of these Asian pitchers, be it the Korean pitchers or the Japanese pitchers, they end up playing in their professional leagues before they come to Major League Baseball. So I feel like they're a little more established, they're a little more polished by the time they get to Major League Baseball. Jang did not do that. So they were saying he would have been a very high draft pick in the KBO if he would have gone to the KBO first, but he didn't. He decided to go to the Dodgers directly. One of the things that I think is very interesting is his ERA in the Arizona League, and that's where he got the majority of his innings. He got hit hard there. His ERA was over 8. What I find very interesting is that once he got into Rancho Cucamonga, his ERA was under 3. It was in the middle 2s. Now, it's a very small sample size. He
So we're
only
just
played
splitting the difference with the average, obviously, with the 6.14.
exactly. He only played in 5 games in Rancho Cucamonga, but I think there's a you can take look at it any way you want. It's the fact that he is going to be under the Dodgers tutelage coming up. He's going to be getting major league training as opposed, and that's not to say that the training that you receive in the KBO isn't any good. It's just different. He's going to get trained under major league methods. So
It'll
with
lessen that transition period that people like Yamamoto or even, Sasaki might be dealing with when they move from coming up through the Japanese league ranks and then moving over to the US.
Exactly. And because he was so young and because we never saw him in the KBO, I don't know if this kid had any expectations. If he did have any expectations, I don't think they were earned because we didn't know anything about him. And we still don't know anything about him other than the fact that okay, whatever adjustment he made from the Arizona League to Rancho was in low A. Look, and this is what happens in minor leagues is once you start moving up, in levels, you got to make adjustments and see if your stuff will still play. So I think he's a project. I don't. I really don't know what to expect whether he pans out or not. But it's interesting because I do think that when it was announced that the Dodgers signed him, I think people were expecting like something like Shohei, like Yamamoto, and it's like, hey guys, we need to check ourselves before we wreck ourselves. This
Riggedy wreck ourselves, sir.
riggedy wreck ourselves. I mean, this is a very young kid, so we still. It's better, as Amie always says, just don't have any expectations. If
Mhm.
he turns out to be something, that's great. But I still think he's probably who knows? I'm probably wrong because I feel like the Dodgers develop their pitchers really, really quickly. I mean, we saw pitchers that were in Double A in the Dodgers make major contributions in Major League Baseball. So He's in low single A. Let's see what his progress looks like in next year in 2025. But I still think you're better off, Jose, doing lowered expectations with
That was a
Huyen
beautiful
Suctain.
harmony.
Thank you very much.
And
Appreciate
you
it.
could potentially go see him in Rancho Cucamonga. So,
That's right.
it's a lot closer. Speaking of expectations, I don't know if you got messages from listeners, but the Anthony Banda lookalike contest was this past weekend.
Daddy Banda. Yes, I did see that. And I think what's cracked me up was the Shohei Ohtani lookalike contest was held in front of, I believe, the Japanese History Museum in Little Tokyo. The Daddy Banda lookalike contest, I think, was held in a park. It might have been Elysian Park by Dodger Stadium, because I
Yeah.
saw a lot of modelos on the ground there. Please tell me about the Daddy Banda lookalike contest.
I just got I got some messages from some of our Kike unofficial fan club members. So we
Who
were
are
just
now forming their own Daddy Banda
no,
unofficial?
no, the
Okay.
club remains as is. No, just no, just it looks like there were 7 guys who were in the contest, and yeah, I every time you say Daddy Banda, you just make my skin crawl.
Do you want me to stop saying Daddy Banda?
No, I mean, you're your own person.
Do you not want me to say
You're
Daddy Banda?
you're
Does
clearly
me
on the
saying Daddy Banda, does that bother you that I say Daddy Banda?
you're clearly on the Banda wagon, so
Ah!
I can't stop it.
I see what you did there, ladies and gentlemen.
Mhm.
2 shows nightly at the Pacoima Hilton. Amie Cuevas.
So, I mean, I think that was the gist of it. Just, our listeners all being super supportive in the YouTube comments. Was there anything else that stood out to you?
Yeah, there were 2 comments that I wanted to address. One is from our great loyal listener, Jose Ayala. And he posed a very interesting question, and I'm curious where you stand on this, Amie. Are bobbleheads the new baseball cards? Did bobbleheads replace baseball cards?
I'm laughing because I know how you feel about bobbleheads.
That's right. And I
So
will let you know, for those of you who don't know, I am a grown ass man, so I don't collect toys. I don't want bobbleheads. I don't even go to the bobblehead games because it's amateur hour at Dodger Stadium. I don't want to be a part of that. But Amie, go ahead.
I mean, I think everybody has their thing that they collect, right? Some people it's bobbleheads. When I first started going as a season ticket holder a couple years ago when I got my tickets, it was like, oh my God, I've got to get them all. And now I'm like, I pick and choose because I'm running out of room to put things. So I think it's just what everybody has their preference on. Because I think we were starting to talk about this last week. What do you collect? Because it's clearly not bobbleheads.
I don't collect anything. I don't. I'm
You
a grown ass
collect
man.
memories.
There you go. I collect memories. I'm like a dream weaver. I'm
Okay.
just like
Dream
dream
weaver.
weaver. Um,
Cue the Garth.
there you go.
Which, by the way, is one of our listeners, Philip Lopez, his favorite movie. One of his favorite movies.
Wayne's World. Oh,
Mhm.
okay. There we go. Yeah. The thing is, I know I don't collect anything, and it's really, I think a lot of it though, Amie, is what you just said. It's the room. I've realized I've become a hoarder. I like a
Mhm.
lot of the times, it drives my wife insane. I'm like, why do you still have this? And I'm like, you're right. I don't know why. Other than the fact that I have this fear that one day I'm gonna need it. And
Mhm.
then I go and I don't have it because I threw it away, and then I gotta go buy it again. But
100%. I think that's my inner Mexican fear is like, oh my God, but I already have it. At least I know I have it.
yeah, exactly. No, I just thought it was a very interesting question that was posed, because I think, and I might be wrong, I think right now baseball cards still probably have more value than bobbleheads. I mean, when you have baseball cards going, wasn't there one going in the millions? Or was it just rumored to go in the millions?
I'm not sure. Did we ever find out if Paul Skeen's rookie card got pulled?
I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen any reports, but I don't think I've ever seen a bobblehead. I mean, they may ask for that much, but in what I always like is tan pendejos. I'm not going to pay that much money for. And there we is that gold, Otani? Are
It's
you?
funny, yeah.
I love
I
gold.
mean, I could bring out. Hold on. I just haven't put them away yet. Honestly, it's just laziness.
Well, I think that baseball cards.
What? I'm sorry, Kike's talking. What?
Oh, heck you me, heck you me. I think baseball cards still, I probably think, have more value than bobbleheads. And it may be that, yes, people may have more, maybe it's a more overt and it's easier to see on social media because there's the lines to go get bobbleheads. But I think in the end, I think baseball cards are still something that has higher value and will trump bobbleheads.
I think the higher value, like if we're talking monetarily, sure, but I think the value is also it's what each of us holds. So it sounds like for Jose Ayala, his thing is bobbleheads. So that's going to be the thing he goes after. Where for me, I kind of dabble in each thing of like, I want that bobblehead, I want this baseball card, I want that baseball, I want that pin, but I'm not going to go for every single one of them. And we all have a different metric.
Yeah, a lot of you bobblehead collectors are just like, "Hey, man, you got any of that bobblehead there?" I mean,
Do you got
that's
some?
how
Do you got some bobblehead?
exactly. That's almost what it feels like. The last comment that I wanted to catch up, Cactus Traveler. Thank you. I don't know if you are a new listener or if it's the first time you left a comment. So thank you very much. We appreciate you if you are new to the show.
Long time
Um,
listener, first time caller.
There we go. I like how you said that. But he had posed when we were talking about Barry Bonds and Barry Bonds having 7 MVPs, and in particular, my comment of like he didn't need to take the juice, he didn't need to take the steroids because as we were going down that list, 3 seems to be the magic number of MVPs. And if you like pretty
For
much
now. For now.
everyone that was on that list that had 3 MVPs were already either in the Hall of Fame or they're on their way to the Hall of Fame. They're just not eligible yet. So Cactus Traveler had made the comment of maybe, and we'll never know this, maybe Bonds made that decision not because he saw Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa, what they did with the home run chase, but more along the lines of guys like Brady Anderson, Greg Vaughn, guys that you would say that are not on the same level as Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa. When those guys started hitting 50 home runs a season, maybe that did piss off Barry Bonds. And Barry Bonds is like, I'm better than those guys. And these guys are getting all this attention. Maybe that was a reason for him doing what he did. I just, it's just tragic because the guy was so good. And now every time when you talk about how good Barry Bonds was, you're going to have to deal with the argument, but he juiced.
Well, and
Yeah.
it really just comes down to we'll never know. We'll never know how truly good he was,
Yeah.
which I think is the argument that you'll hear a lot with the 2017 World Series. It's not saying that the Dodgers were a shoo-in to win. It's just that we'll never know. And sometimes that's even more painful when it comes to things like that, whether it's a player's achievements or potential achievements, or something like you being a piece of metal winner.
Oh, by the way, we got some comments on your shirt last week. Yeah, big fans on the piece of metal winter shirt.
Good job, Manfred.
All right, so that's going to do it for the comments corner. Again, guys, if you're on YouTube, if you're watching us on YouTube, leave us comments. We want to engage with you, and we'll address your comments. So let's get into it. I shockingly enough, there was a very big signing that took place, Amie.
Hey,
I
the
didn't
Dodgers kicked it off.
I didn't think this was going to happen until the winter meetings, and the winter meetings start next week. So I anticipate we're going to see a lot more action next week.
Just goes
Uh,
to show you not to have any expectations.
I thought lowered expectations. This goes to show you that, I mean, I thought Juan Soto was going to be the first domino to fall, and then everything else was going to go accordingly. Your thoughts? First of all, you want to let everybody know who the Dodgers signed?
Yeah, so it was announced Friday. No, I'm just kidding. We'll get to that. On Tuesday, what I heard was a lot of it through Instagram that Blake Snell had posted on his own page, and then that's kind of where it followed from there. You heard like from Jeff Passan and Jorge Castillo, but basically Blake Snell was in agreement with the Dodgers. I still haven't seen anything like concrete come through, even though the Dodgers have posted on their social media 5-year contract, 182 million. It includes a 52 million signing bonus and deferred money, which we will get to more in depth later.
And
But
just to add to that, at the time we are recording this, it's Monday. The Dodgers announced on Tuesday they are having an introductory press conference with Blake Snell
Okay,
at
so then
Tuesday
I
at
just haven't
2:30.
seen the PR email come through then.
Okay.
So
Yeah, it is confirmed by the beat writers that the Dodgers will be introducing. Jack Harris had that of the Los Angeles Times will be introducing Blake Snow tomorrow, Tuesday afternoon at 2:30, which I know probably makes Dave Vassay very very happy. And if Kirsten Wasson is not back from Spectrum, I'm sure Dave Vassay will have the first question for his friend Blake Snow.
I mean, there were other details too. It's estimated 60 million is probably deferred. There's also no opt-outs, no trade clause, but an assignment bonus if he's traded, and he'll get an additional 5 million by the team. Were the reports that I saw. So,
And the Dodgers weren't done there. There was another signing you said on Friday.
but wait, there's more. They re-signed Tommy Edman. So he already had that 2-year contract. So he was signed through the end of next year. So he now has a 5-year, $74 million contract. 25 million of that is deferred to be paid over the next 10 years. And there's a 6th-year club option, and he's got a 17 million signing bonus. So lots of numbers.
So your thoughts on those signings, Amy?
I was a little mixed on Blake Snell, I think initially just because, we played against him so many times in the 2020 World Series. Obviously, we played against him on the Padres and the Giants, which, just being in the National League West, getting to see him, he's been a little challenging, but I mean, from all reports, he's probably one of the better fits for our team. So it doesn't hurt to have another pitcher in the starting rotation.
This is the thing that I find very interesting. Blake Snell signed very, very late last year with the Giants. And there were rumors, I don't know if it was confirmed, but it didn't seem like he was very happy with the fact that it took so long. And he ended up getting hurt and missing the beginning of the season. And some people feel that it was attributed to the fact that he signed so late, so he got into camp late. So clearly, if that's true, if everything they said, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but Scott Boras is his agent.
Correct. He was one of the Boris 4 from last season, from the 2024 off season.
And I was always curious last year when we talked about that, whether Boris would feel any repercussions or ramifications of that. So the fact that he was the first person to sign and he signed so early, I have to believe, unless I'm wrong, Amy, that Blake Snell made it very clear to Boris, I'm not going through that again. I want this done early, and I want to get in with a team. What do you think?
Well, yeah, because I think it was even Jordan Montgomery who he ended up leaving Scott Boras and went to another agency, and then obviously, as we know, the other another player signed late. I think it was Chapman, also with the Giants. So,
Matt Chapman.
yeah, there were a couple of them. And to your point, yeah, Snell didn't even sign till March 19th. So 2 weeks before opening day, he didn't even get to get ramped up. I don't even think he was pitching right away. And then he had he had a groin strain twice. So I don't know if you saw the split, but in his first 6 starts, he was pitching at with an ERA of 9.51, and then he came back after the All-Star break, and over his last 14 games, he lowered it down to 123. So definitely cleaned it up after, kind of a rough start, couple injuries, and then coming back and being able to kind of level out and at least, bring down his ERA.
Look, the rumors were that the Dodgers were in on Blake Snell last year. They just obviously wanted to get him on their price. Look, the thing is, for me, you can never have enough pitching. And some people, I think, were happy on it. Other people, I think, were down on it. Look, this is a 2-time Cy Young Award winner. Why would you not want this guy on it? Not only why wouldn't you want him on this team, but whenever he pitched against you, he killed you. He absolutely dominated you. Now, I know why certain people are like, look, I get it. It is an overpay. Okay. Blake Snell is 32 years old.
Well,
Would I
and he doesn't pitch usually deeper than the 5th inning.
which is exactly what the Dodgers want. The
Yeah.
Dodgers are not asking this guy to go.
Which is unfortunate though, because then that means we're ramping up for another bullpen filled year, which again, like that you can't keep gassing your bullpen.
But that's their philosophy.
I know.
That is their philosophy. They completely subscribe to it. And Amie, there's no point in fighting it.
I'm just throwing out. You were like, whatever, but that's what some of the naysayers are saying.
No, and I get that they are valid concerns, but in the end, these dudes won a World Series last year doing this. So as much as we don't like it, as much as we don't agree with it, they got results. And look, what do we learn from success? Keep doing it until it doesn't work anymore, right? So look, would I have liked this deal a lot better if it was a 3-year deal? Yeah, I would. But they obviously wanted him really bad. If that was because for them to overpay, which they usually don't, for them to overpay, they obviously wanted to get him. They didn't want to lose him again. Again, my thing is 5 years at that amount of money. I'm not going to get here and have a conversation with the Dodgers. All right. These guys are printing money over there. Money should not be an issue. The thing is if you look at his numbers, Amie, those 2 years that he won the Cy Young, I mean, his ERA, I mean, he had an ERA when he won with the Show Pods, it was a little over 2, his ERA. When he won with the Rays, it was under 2. All those other years where he didn't win the Cy Young, his ERA is in the mid 3s or in the mid 4s. Now, for some people, you'll say those are average numbers. Look, in the end, this is how Major League Baseball is. I think you would take a guy who has an ERA in the mid 3s. You would take a guy who has an ERA in the mid 4s, with the way the offensive numbers are in Major League Baseball. So do the Dodgers need him to be dominating? Do they need him to be the Cy Young Award winner to win? I don't think so.
No, they just need him to be consistent.
Exactly. Be consistent and stay healthy. So while I guess my reaction to this signing is I'm surprised at how quickly it happened. I am surprised at the number because it is an overpay. But for me, they overpaid because they clearly wanted it. And why are you laughing at me?
No, you're funny. You've said overpay several times. I understand it as a thorn in your side.
It's not my money, like Tim Rogers says, it's not my money. So
hey, at least we got a pitcher, and it's not really a reclamation project like what we have gotten in the past.
Exactly.
So that's a step up.
Exactly. And I know he has had injuries in the past. He doesn't seem to be injured. At least for me, I don't look at him as an injury prone pitcher as some of those other guys. But look, in the end, you have a guy. So now I'm feeling a lot better about the starting rotation going in to next year. You have Blake Snell, you have Yamamoto. I mean, all those, I don't know if you saw all the pictures all over social media, but
oh yeah.
Okay. Blake Snell, Yamamoto, Glasnow, Tony Gonsolin. They put in Dustin May. Who else? Oh, and they were put in Roki Sasaki there. I'm not going to include Roki Sasaki because we still don't know what's happening with that guy.
I even saw some with Clayton Kershaw. Like
exactly.
It was very creative. I think it was Bill Plunkett that I saw on Twitter or X, like kind of, jawing with some just people who were commenting on there, basically like, well, yeah, but none of them are healthy right now. Like we're waiting for all of these guys to come back.
It was Plunkett. So yeah, so I want to get into that when we get into this other topic. But your reaction to Tommy Edman?
I was happy. Like it seems like they've been trying to get him for a long time. He's a really good fit. I mean, in the 37 games that he played for us, he was great, good enough to get the NLCS MVP. So, he seems like he'll be a good addition to our team. Switch hitter, like, great guy.
That to me is another thing, Amie, where the Dodgers they are all in on the Tommy Edman stock. They love themselves some Tommy Edman.
Especially because he came in injured. He hadn't played in 2024 at all. So when he came in with us, that was his first game of the season. I was a little like, a little concerned because it's like, okay, how's this going to go? And he blew me away.
And he did. He played a very instrumental part, not only in their postseason, but towards the end of the regular season. Look, I sit here and I say it's an overpay, but in the end, you're worth whatever anybody's willing to pay you. So, would I have given him that much money? No. Could you have gotten him for less? Probably. What does the
So
thumb
we're
of judgment say?
so we're saying yes. I think he was a good signing.
No, he was. It's fascinating to me, and maybe this is again, he was already under contract. Clearly, Tommy Edman wanted to stay here. I think the same thing can be said about Blake Snell. I think Blake Snell wanted to be in LA, and I
Mhm.
think that's why those deals got done as quickly as they did.
It would be
Um,
nice if we could see a deal for Teoscar and Kike, but
well, and that's look. If that result, look, I still
I need
think
my Hernandez boys back.
I think those moves are still going to be dependent on what Juan Soto, decides. I don't think the Dodgers are. If Juan Soto says yes to them, they'll probably be just as surprised as I am. But once Juan Soto decides who he's signing with, I think the Dodgers will sign the Oscar. I think the Oscar will be signed. Now, one thing of all these pitching options, Amie, for me, the next signing that I would like to see before even Teoscar, to tell you the truth, is I would like them to sign Walker Buehler.
Mhm.
I keep hearing
What do
Bob
you make of the
Nightingale.
rumors that now that they signed Snell, that Walker's off the table?
Yeah, I don't believe he's off the table. My concern is if the Dodgers. I'm not worried about the money with the Dodgers. What I'm worried about is the years.
Mhm,
Because this is something where this guy's been two Tommy Johns, right?
mhm.
So now you got to start thinking. That's how I would be thinking. I want to get paid for a very long time, as long as I can. So what I am concerned about is the Dodgers will come with a high number, but for a lower amount of years. And then there'll be another team who is very desperate for pitching that will give him more years.
Mhm.
And look, Walker Buehler's already won 2 World Series, and Walker Buehler knows he is a wanted man. And that's for me the reason why I want to see him is strictly for the postseason.
But
I
are you I shouldn't even I'm not gonna put us. Is he the player who wants to continue to win? Or, is the potential team that he would go to, are they a contender? Or are you going for the paycheck? Which we
I
know some players do, and no shade if that's what you
yeah.
wanna do.
But you know what? For me, I do think he wants to win. And I think that's probably what's giving him pause. I don't know Walker Buehler, but I think in the back of his head, he's probably wondering, if I go somewhere else, will I have the opportunity to win World Series? Because he's said it before. Many times he said it last year. He lives for those big moments. So I wouldn't pick him to win a Cy Young Award just because
Mhm.
when I hear those comments, I don't want to sit here and say he doesn't care about the regular season. But for him, what's important is those postseason moments.
Well, and
And
even the injury, like, that's something that I think that's gonna be part of any pitcher, no matter what. You've got Walker Buehler with 2 Tommy Johns, you've got Blake Snell, knock on wood, who's never had an arm injury. It's a ticking clock on anybody's arm at any given point. So it's like, even if you're healthy, that's not a guarantee. So if people are being locked down in those longer year term deals, like that is the risk you run, is what happens if there is the potential for injury.
yeah, I would love for them to bring him back because he is a difference maker. And when it comes to the postseason, I trust that guy on the mound. So I really, in terms of any other starting pitchers out there, yeah, you make room for Walker Buehler and you sign him, and I hope they do that. Your thoughts?
On Walker Bueller?
Yeah, do you want him back?
Um, I think I'm just kinda keeping to no expectations. I do. I've just
Lowered expectation.
expectations. It's more, I guess I've just been kind of watching to see what fans are gonna say, mostly because of I think we kinda touched on it last week too. The fact that people were not very supportive while he was just trying to find his way in the season, and like you mentioned, he's proven in the postseason. So it's, do you make room on your roster for somebody for 162 regular season games to then, for that playoff run? I think if he can stay healthy, like, yeah, the more arms, the better. So, do you
Well,
sign him over Flaherty?
I would. I put Bueller ahead of Flaherty. I
Mhm.
would definitely spend my money on Walker Bueller over Flaherty. You brought it up, so I know this is a topic on there, so let's segue what fans are going to say. So
Hmm.
fans lost their mind
I just got into
when
a debate about this last night.
the Dodgers signed Blake Snell. Amie, explain to me your experience from last night.
So it kind of mirrors what we're seeing on social media. Dodgers fans think it's great. The team is spending, they're putting a quality product on the field. They're deferring a lot of these contracts so that they can continue to, get more players and beef up the roster. What you're hearing outside of the Dodgers is it's not fair. We need a salary floor. We need a salary cap. These deferrals aren't fair, even though, it's part of the collective bargaining agreement that you can defer money. So the Dodgers aren't doing anything wrong. Other teams are just upset about this. And so we kind of me and a buddy got into it over. I don't think there should be a salary cap. I think that ownership needs to put money into their own teams. If anything, there needs to be more of a salary floor and there needs to be accountability where owners should be putting money into the teams, especially if they're taking from the competitive balance tax. And what was told to me on the other side was basically like, well, some ownerships aren't like ownership groups. So if you're a solo owner, it's a lot harder to put that money into the team. And I'm like, well, then go get some more investors. Like, there's nothing holding you back from doing any of those things. Like, there's nothing holding back from putting a quality product on the field.
Yeah, yeah, I find it very interesting that this has become a conversation about the Dodgers are ruining baseball. To your point, exactly what you're talking about, and this was from Forbes, and I don't know if it was 2024 or if it's 2023, but the Pittsburgh Pirates had a revenue. This is money income they brought in for that year was over 300 million, and I don't even think their payroll got to 100 million. Correct me if I'm wrong or anyone. So that's to the point where that you're talking about that floor, and that is putting that. So if you're making that much money and if it's competitive, you want a good product on there, because this is what I think is happening with this whole conversation. Okay. Now, I remember people complaining about this, but not to the level that they complained when Blake Snell signed with the Dodgers. The show pods. In a short period of time, the show pods handed out contracts to Manny Machado for 350 million, Fernando Tatis for 340 million, Xander Bogaerts for 280 million. Okay. That was the year that the show pods won the offseason. Everybody was talking about them. And I did hear some people complaining about, there's all this amount of money that they're spending, you
That's what
know?
you're supposed to do.
Exactly. I thought this was a great thing. And now we're asking ourselves, because they lost Peter Seidler, are they done with their spending? Are they not going to spend like that anymore? And look, yes, maybe it did not result in a World Series win for the show pods, but people are writing articles about how fun it is to go to Petco and watch a game. The environment of Padre fans. Someone, I
They
forget who the
experienced so much growth in their fandom. Like, it directly correlates to the product that they put on the field.
yes, and what is always said: to make money, you got to spend money, and I
Which is
don't.
what the Dodgers have done. They spent in the last offseason. They won a World Series. They are now taking the money that they made and spending again, which is the business model. Maybe they can do it at a higher level because they are an investment group, but there's nothing stopping anybody else from doing that.
No, absolutely not. And that's why I think what this conversation is really about, and it's not about the deferrals either, because here's the thing: the deferrals make sense. The fact that these players are willing to accept the deferrals.
Were they complaining when Bobby Bonilla
Well,
deferred
but
his
now,
contract?
here's the reason why I feel that, especially with the Dodgers, why deferrals make sense. Because California is a state income tax state. Okay. So if you
Boy, is
defer
it.
that you defer that money and then you move to a state that doesn't have state income tax, you are going to get more money. So if you have a smart agent, if you have somebody that knows money and is really good and is telling you, hey, you need to do this. And maybe that is an unfair advantage that the Dodgers have because they live in in a state that has that income tax. Here's my thing. In 2 years, when the collective bargaining agreement is up and they have to negotiate, I think this is going to become a huge issue. It is not about the salary cap, Amy. What this to me is going to be an issue is owners hate the fact that the Dodgers are kicking their ass.
But why are the other owners not doing it too, though? It's not like the Dodgers are exploiting some huge loophole that's a secret, and they're like, "Mwahaha." Other owners can do this as well. They choose not to. That's a choice. And what was posed to me is this is why baseball isn't, as popular as football or basketball because they have salary caps and they don't do this. And it's like, well, I think it's each sport has its own thing. I'm not drawn to football or basketball. It doesn't hold my attention. I love the pace of play in baseball, and I think that's a big difference. That has nothing to do with salaries being deferred or not. Am I on the benefit of the receiving end because we have a good team that spends? Absolutely. I would be frustrated too if I was on a team or if I supported a team as a fan where my ownership didn't spend anything. Like we have that right across the freeway. But that's your ownership not spending. That's not somebody exploiting rules that are being broken. There's nothing being exploited here. Just a team that's spending and you see the what the product looks like and what it can accomplish.
That is the question right there, what you asked, Amy, is why aren't other teams investing in their front offices? Okay. Now,
It's not
mind
like
you,
they're just like, "Oh, I don't have to pay that money." From what I was reading, they put that money away to ensure that they can pay it later.
look, it's what the Dodgers have done is they've got extremely intelligent people to work in their front office, people that not only know the game, but are thinking outside of the box, clearly know how the rules apply and
And you've
how.
got players buying in. This doesn't work if you don't have Shohei Ohtani willing to take 2 million and defer the majority of his salary, or Blake Snell, or Freeman, Theo, Betts, like any of these guys, Will Smith. They've all got deferred contracts. You got to have buy-in from everybody on top of everything that you just mentioned.
And that's an excellent point that you bring up too, the fact that they have set this money aside so they can pay it. I think that's also a huge issue, not issue, but I think that's a huge appealing point because when you go to the Dodgers, you know you're going to get your money. What you don't know is what happened with the Nationals a few years back when Max Scherzer had that huge deferral and they're trying to sell the team. When you're a player and you go, wait, this guy's trying to sell the team, how do I know that whoever he's selling to is going to have the amount of money, is going to have the money to pay my deferrals, or is going to be willing to pay my deferrals? So what you have there is you have an ownership group that has clearly stated we are here and we're here to stay. We are building something here, and that I think means something. But the fact that you have I feel like this happened in the NBA where you had owners complain to the commissioner and they end up killing trades. And in some cases in the NFL, you have this too, where owners they get together, a few group of owners, and then they decide we're going to stand up and we're going to push this through. And I'm curious to see when the collective bargaining agreement comes up, if the same thing is going to happen with Major League Baseball, where you're going to have a group of owners who are people who don't invest in the front office, are just bitter and jealous that the Dodgers get smart people in their office to do that. Go ahead.
And continue to draw from the competitive the God, there's so many collective bargaining agreement and competitive balance tax always like I always twist
Yeah,
them up.
'cause it's CBT. Both of them are
Yeah.
CBT.
Yeah. So, but they're continuing to draw from that and they're continuing to make money. I mean, are any of these owners losing money every year? So, the A's were begging for better ownership. We've heard the same grumblings from the White Sox, from Anaheim. And this was the debate that I had last night. You even brought up that, the Dodgers went bankrupt, and we begged for better ownership. You were out there, working for that, created your own movie on it. Like, we want good products on the field. We don't want complacency and stagnation. And the Dodgers are setting the pace for this. And it feels like everybody else is kicking and screaming and wants to just stay stagnant. And I don't understand that. Like, talk to your ownership. This has nothing to do with a floor or a cap. Yeah, could you institute those? Sure. But if your ownership is still not spending, whether you have a cap in place or not, it's not going to change anything for the, let's just say 25 other teams outside of maybe the 5 that are spending. I don't know. I'm throwing random numbers out there. So Jose Ayala, that was not a stat. But just like, what changes then?
I appreciate you giving a plug to my short film. Real quick for what Amie was talking about. 12 years ago, I made a movie called Blue Revolution, which is available on YouTube. I'll put it up on my social media if anybody wants to watch it for free. But basically, what it was is the fans decided to push back against Frank McCourt, and my film documents that movement. Some of you who were around during that era, you might remember how the stadium was empty and how fans absolutely refused to go to the game because they wanted Frank McCourt out. They refused to support him. Now, you probably have that happening with other franchises right now where you see that nobody goes to the games. So that's why I'm just a floor to me is appropriate, but I don't even know if a floor is enough, because if you see how much money these owners are making, and plus on top of that, what you said, Amie, they get to then take money from the Dodgers, from the Yankees, from the Red Sox. That to me is like, you can't have it both ways,
Even
right?
before you institute the floor, I want to see some accountability if you're drawing on the competitive balance tax. That's, I think, where you start, in my opinion, is you start there. If you're drawing from that and you are not actively making an effort to put a quality team on the field, then there needs to be some oversight into that. How much do you get to draw every year then? Or how that even works. If you're actually, making an effort, then okay, then the system is working. But right now, it doesn't feel like the system is working. And the changes people want to institute have nothing to do with the actual problem. So it feels like we're looking at a surface level issue when the deeper issue is the ownership, and you have a commissioner who is, serves at their behest. So what change is going to be made? And we have to hope that the MLB Players Association will kind of hold their own and not give in to some of this stuff.
No, absolutely. I mean, look, nobody was complaining. Well, if they were, I didn't hear it loud enough when the Atlanta Braves front office, where these were, Anthopoulos came from the Dodgers front office. So you want to sit here and tell me he didn't learn about what the Dodgers were doing in the front office? How come nobody's complaining that they sign a bunch of their players to long-term deals that are below market value? They signed a lot of those Braves players for long year contracts. And look, kudos to the Braves for doing it, but those players are not getting their market value. And that's because, and look, they have every right. They wanted the security, so they got offered a huge contract for this amount of years. They took it, okay? But the Bravos are taking advantage of that. So for me, when we talk about labor and stuff like that, people should be complaining about the fact that these owners are taking advantage of those players by not paying them what their actual market value is.
Whoa,
What
whoa,
you have
whoa. We're only complaining about the Dodgers. Only the Dodgers.
Yeah, and that's why, again, the Dodgers aren't the ones ruining Major League Baseball. You got to look at the other 29 teams, and I'm even looking at the Boston Red Sox, because they were the ones who traded Mookie Betts. They didn't have to trade Mookie Betts. They could have retained Mookie Betts. They could have paid Mookie Betts what Mookie Betts was worth, and Mookie Betts should have gone into the Hall of Fame wearing a Red Sox hat. And now there's a belief that Mookie's going to go into the Hall of Fame wearing a Dodgers hat. Why? Because the Dodgers recognize the value of Mookie Betts. The Dodgers wanted to make sure they could make this deal done, and they wanted to pay Mookie Betts. And that's the same thing they did with Shohei. And you're absolutely right, Amie. Why would you not want to go to an organization that shows that they value their players? They overpaid Tommy Edman. They overpaid Blake Snell. That has to be I mean, Teoscar Hernandez is begging them, please take me. I want
Which
to stay here.
Which overplays his hand. Him, Kike, Flaherty, all saying they want to come here. They want to remain with LA. You've already showed your hand. Like you have you don't not have any bargaining power, but like LA already knows you want to be here. So you've already showed your cards. I'm not even upset that the fans are mad about this. What I'm upset about is that they're pointing the finger in the wrong direction. It shouldn't
Absolutely.
be pointed at the Dodgers. Can you be jealous? Can you be upset that we are getting those players? Sure. But when it comes to making changes and complaining to the MLB and this is not right, you're pointing the finger in the wrong direction. Point the finger back at your owner and hold them accountable for not putting that good product on the field to repay you as fans for supporting that team. Because that's what they should be doing. That's what fans are. You support that team. It's almost like they're just I can't even think of I'm so flustered by this because I just like I don't
Are you crying?
understand.
Are you angry crying right now?
Not right now, but maybe later. I just like it is very clear to me that like this is an ownership issue, and the fact that the blame is being put on the Dodgers is just astounding to me.
Because
Because
it's
like
easier.
why are you not talking to your team?
It's easier to blame the Dodgers than to do what the fans did with the Dodgers when
I I just had an issue with my insurance company today. They changed the way that they're doing their rates again, and the original reason that they gave was it doesn't even line up with this. All that to say, me complaining to the agent isn't going to do anything. I had to go to the insurance company at large, the corporation, and go lodge a complaint, which like what are we doing?
yeah, sooner or later we have to, as a fan, you have to stand up. The Dodger fans, again, I hate to be that guy, but I'm going to plug it for those of you who aren't familiar, or for those of you who feel like the Dodger fans didn't really play a role in Frank McCourt selling the team, that it was really because Frank McCourt ran out of money, he couldn't pay anybody, and he was bankrupt.
Or just that the Dodgers have never fallen on hard times.
Exactly. Look, you guys forget the Dodgers were going through it. I mean, go read Ned Colletti's book. El Padrino will tell you, he was trying to make a deal to get CC Sabathia, but the owner wouldn't let him do it. He's just trying to steal from Peter to pay Paul. And this is the Los Angeles Dodgers. And now, look, and this is paying huge dividends again. I can't say it enough. To make money, you got to spend money. The Dodgers now, if things keep going the way they're going, the Yankees are still the number one in terms of value in all of Major League Baseball. But let me tell you, the Dodgers are cutting into that margin, and they're two, and they're climbing right now. There might be, and this is, I don't think I ever thought this could happen in my lifetime. The Yankees, all my life growing up, all I've been told, all I know is that the Yankees are the number one, the championships, everything. The Yankees are number one in terms of fans, everything number one. Look, if the Dodgers if this is the beginning of a dynasty run like the Yankees had in the late 90s, like this team, they bought this team for $2 million, and Forbes has already valued them for over $5 billion.
Well, and no team travels, and maybe this is my bias, no team travels as well as the Dodgers. Any stadium that the team goes and plays in an away stadium, you're gonna find Dodgers fans there, and it's not sprinkled. It's a good cross portion of that stadium.
The Dodger fans really do contribute to the economy. Let me tell you,
Well, and to those teams, they're buying tickets
yeah.
from some of those stadiums that might not even have good attendance for themselves. Our fans are contributing to their market value. So you're welcome.
Look, when the World Series was happening, look, the Dodgers went to face the Yankees earlier in the season, so Yankee fan already got a taste of it. But during the World Series, I heard Yankee fans going, "They're coming. You guys got to be prepared. They're coming, and they're going to take over our stadium." So yeah, there is truth to what you were saying there.
You see the spikes for every team of when Dodgers play them of like their market value for tickets. I
There,
mean, We joke, but it's true.
Well, not only that, I mean, I want to let's go into the TV rights thing, and then we'll go back into sponsorships. Only because I will
And there's
say that
not really much to say on sponsorships, only that's what really helps with all of these, like, deferrals and all that stuff.
we'll go back to the sponsorships, but I just because you mentioned TV right now, in terms of
Hold on, I'm gonna get upset again. All right, go.
no, the highest ratings and this World Series was the highest rated World Series since 2017. What is the common denominator there? The Dodgers were in both World Series. So for right now, at least in this era that we are watching in Major League Baseball, the Dodgers are driving interest in Major League Baseball. So that to me is another argument as to why the Dodgers are not destroying baseball. The Dodgers, in my opinion, and this is not even fair to say that the Dodgers are carrying Major League Baseball.
But I know
But
what you mean, though.
the
They're
Dodgers
keeping it
are
going. They're keeping
exactly.
the interest in a game that, as many people say, the interest is dying.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm trying to be as objective as I can here and not be a homer, but this whole argument that the Dodgers are destroying Major League Baseball, I just don't buy it. But let's get into that TV rights update that you had that's going to piss you off.
Hold on, we just need a preemptive.
And the thumb of judgment makes an appearance, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you that are listening to the podcast, the thumb of justice, judgment. I keep wanting to call it the thumb of justice. I don't know why.
We can call it that too.
Okay, let's go with the thumb of justice is pointing down right now for Amy's best buddy Manfredi. What did Manfredi do now, Amie?
So there's a whole article in The Athletic by Evan Drellich, and, like, I have a whole page worth of notes just because I was very upset about this. So, like, the whole premise is that the owner of the New York Yankees, Hal Steinbrenner, is saying that Manfred's TV plan that we've been talking about for weeks now should be optional at the very least, because, as we know, Manfred wants to reshape the sports television landscape, and his biggest hurdle is going to be those big market teams, the Dodgers, the Yankees, Boston Red Sox. So he's pushing, if you haven't listened to previous episodes, for the MLB to take over local team broadcast rights. The goal is to sell more inventory nationally in 2028 when all of those contracts expire. And he wants streaming companies who have deeper pockets to secure more of those games. So, with that in mind, the article is from Steinbrenner's perspective because he's an owner for the Yankees, a part owner with the Yes Network that televises 125 of those 162 games. A lot of those are exclusive, kind of similar to how the Dodgers operate with Spectrum on Sportsnet LA. Um, what Manfred wants to do, because he wants more of those games televised exclusively, he thinks that streaming companies will pay more if fans have to sign up for their service to stream games exclusively. The problem with this is they're kind of referencing the NBA model. And so with that, the NBA sold 100 of their regular season games to Peacock, 80 to Disney and ESPN, and 66 to Amazon. What that comes down to is that fans are going to have to pay for multiple streaming services. I don't know about you, the economy seems to be on everybody's mind. That's a big deal. If I have to have 3 different streaming services depending on the day of the week to be able to watch my team, while that may be lucrative for owners and the NBA's deal is a combined 77 billion, I get where Manfred wants to go, but I kind of agree with Steinbrenner. Like, let the teams opt in if they want to. You shouldn't be able to force a monopoly. I have a quote from Manfred. I'll save it till after you get to say what you want to say because this quote pissed me off.
Look, I agree with Hal. Now the thing is with Manfredi, and this is part of his job. So I want to be fair to Manfredi. I think Manfredi's plan would work if baseball was a national game. Baseball has not been a national game probably since the 80s. Baseball has become a very regional sport. Therefore, because it's a regional sport, I think what Hal Steinbrenner was saying makes sense. You have to make it optional because these teams will probably get more money, from regional TV partners. Now, I know that that's what happened, and a lot of these regional partners ended up going bankrupt. Look, part of the reason I'm also agreeing with Hal Steinbrenner is because teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers benefit from their TV contracts right now. So let's be fair
Well,
and
and it's
in
also
interest of full
hard enough.
disclosure.
Yes, and it's hard enough as a just even as a Dodgers fan, you've got to have either cable, DirecTV, whatever to access it. It's not cheap. That's, I think, where I take umbrage, where it's like we're already paying a lot to see it. You always reference like you used to be able to watch baseball games on TV for free. Those days are gone. We're already paying such a high premium for that. Now you want us to go have potentially up 3 or more different streaming services just to see the game we love? Are you kidding me?
Look, here's the other. I mean, again, to be fair to Manfredi, he's
Whoa, this
probably
is an interesting day.
well. Look, he's probably trying to turn baseball back into a national viewed game. And that's why he wants to do this. But it's what you're saying, Amy. It's like you also need to listen to your consumers. How many times do you hear people bitch and moan when a game is either on Apple TV or it's on Roku or it's on Peacock, right?
I'll just go listen on the radio tonight.
Exactly. He
And
wants that to happen.
And what my best friend mentioned, her pet peeve, the commentators on those stations. Like we like our commentators, our broadcasters, even our radio commentators. I feel like the Dodgers, we're set up really well there. When you have to listen to some of those out of market game, I don't even know what we call them, but like even when ESPN has the games, you hear everybody grumbling.
They're national games. Those are national games. And that's to me
One more in-game interview, I swear to goodness.
But that's the issue, Amy. That's what we're running up against, right? And that is I get it. He's trying to grow the game. He's trying to do what's best for the game, but at the same time, you have to listen to your consumers.
That
You're already you've lost your audience right now. Some of that audience, you're starting to grow an audience with some of these rule changes, some of the things that these players are doing. Some people are coming back to baseball. You
and now
don't
you
want
wanna
to lose
cut them
them.
off at the knees, like, "Oh, you're back? Let me just spit in your face."
And look, I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't mind, that like they're like, I'm willing to spend because I love baseball that much, right? But your casual fan, and that's what you need. That's what you need to cash in is the casual fan. That's why your playoff numbers are so much bigger because that's when the casual fan gets involved. That's when all the bandwagon people go, what are you talking about? I've loved the Dodgers. I've always been a Dodger fan.
But you can't alienate the more in-depth fans either though, because I, as a fan, I've gotten spoiled watching Sportsnet LA. Is it hard to access or, have the funds to do that? Sure, but at least it's only paying one place. If I have to go watch it on multiple different streaming services, pay for that, me as somebody who is your consistent consumer, you're alienating me. I don't like it. And from what we're hearing from a lot of people, not just in the LA market, but also on the Yankees side, like nobody wants that in the bigger markets.
Yeah, I look.
So to your point to him not listening, I 100% agree with that.
That's the danger, and I think that's the reason why his job is hard. It is hard because he needs to do what's best for the game, and right now, I think you're at a spot where you're seeing growth in Major League Baseball. You don't want to do anything that is going to stop that growth. You want to be able to capitalize on it, and I think if that's what you're doing, you got to listen to what the fans want. And I think what the fans want more than anything is get rid of blackouts.
Mhm.
I feel like if they remove those blackouts, I feel a lot of people would subscribe to MLB TV. I think a lot, especially those people who don't want to pay directly into Spectrum. But
Mhm.
that's the catch-22 right there, right? Because
It was nice. When I lived in Northern California, I got every game.
but I was in Vegas, a couple of years ago, and I couldn't watch the Dodgers because the Dodgers are blacked out in Vegas.
Mhm.
And that's
They didn't care in Northern California unless we were playing the Giants, but
But that's, that's the thing, right? And that's the deal that Spectrum made. It's like, all right, we're going to pay you this money, but it's got to be exclusive. You can only watch it on us. So as a result, we're going to blackout. But the blackouts are a huge issue because, like I said,
But
you
is he
want
doing
people
it?
to see your product.
Is he doing it in the best interest of growing baseball, or is he doing it to appease other owners? Because again, to me, it just comes back to like he's going to have this pool of money coming in, sure, but you still have some teams that aren't, they're spending the CBT money, but they're not putting a product on the field. So that's still not being, addressed. They're saying that this would also need to be worked out in the 2026 collective bargaining agreement with the MLB Players Association. And his most difficult task is going to be convincing owners to follow him from the larger markets. When it comes down to like growing the game, this is where his quote came in. And I just like, I get it. He's got it. He's looking to get money, but I think the other side of that is also growing the game. And sometimes that doesn't involve money. And he said, now there are mechanics and existing agreements that we're going to have to work through. But if you're making a change that you believe is going to substantially increase your revenue over the long haul, it gives you that great thing that helps you solve a lot of problems. It's called money. Money is great, but growing the game is also important too. And sometimes they're mutually exclusive, sometimes they're not. And I think if you're not listening to your biggest consumers, and this is something that goes against them, let it be an opt-in, then great. You've got the best of both worlds. You're making a lot of money with those remaining teams, but let the bigger market teams, if they opt out, just give them the option to opt out, especially if those teams are listening to their, customers, if you will, for as much as they can, because obviously the Dodgers are making a lot of money with their deal, which is why we have those blackouts. But it is still easier to access that than it would be to access across multiple streaming packages and try to remember which day the game is streamed on what station, essentially.
Is that the quote that pissed you off?
Yeah, just, it's called money.
You're fuming right now, aren't you?
It's so counterintuitive to me. Like, you want to grow the game, but yeah, I know you want to get rich too, but like, there's got to be a middle ground.
Look, this is a watch this space, but I feel like this. I am not confident that that 2026 the collective bargaining agreement is going to go smoothly, and I'm not confident that there won't be a work stoppage, because these are all issues just with baseball alone. This is not even taking into account what the players think about it. So I know.
Get your fix this season, guys, before everything goes sideways in
I
2026.
I really think we're going to be in for a lot going on here. So that's why I'm very interested in that's, I think, how we're gonna really know where the owners and Manfredi stand in terms of their relationship, because I'm telling you, I feel a lot of owners are just pissed that the Dodgers are smarter than them. And it's like they can't outspend the Dodgers, and now they're smarter than them. So it's like whatever they do, the Dodgers find a way. It's I get it. It's frustrating and all that stuff. So I would not be surprised if the rest of the owners of Major League Baseball went to Manfredi and said, you got to make these changes, when really what they're saying in code, without really, you need to do something about the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be shocked.
All right, let's go back to the sponsorships.
There were just a couple articles out there, and I thought it was timely just because we're talking about potential salary floors and salary caps and deferrals. And it's like, there's a lot of sponsorships out there too. So there's a lot of things that offset, even if these players aren't necessarily earning right away. If they have sponsorships, they can offset, some of that money that might be tied up for future dates. There was an article in The Athletic just talking about Shohei with his New Balance deal. And, as we know, Clayton Kershaw is sponsored by Skechers. I think Chris Taylor is now too, Snoop Dogg, everybody. So, yeah.
Look, I don't know.
Are you laughing at Skechers?
I'm not laughing at Skechers because I'm a Hoka guy myself.
Okay, because I just got a new sparkly pair. They look like ruby slippers.
No, but here's the thing, because I don't know if you remember when, like, they had first announced that they were going to put patches, sponsorship patches on uniforms, and how fans lost their mind over that.
See,
And
that I'm not really I'm not so much on the uniforms.
it doesn't bother me at all. Now, mind you, the Dodgers have Guggenheim on their patch, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't, and maybe it's because I watch football, and so I'm used to it on football. They always put their sponsor all over the jerseys. I mean, the NBA does it. I like that for it, none of it bothers me. I mean,
Would I get used to it? Sure. It's just what are we used to? What are we not? Am I gonna die? Is that the hill I'm gonna die on? No, I'm gonna die on small ball, but here we are.
look, I always think, good for them, get their money. Those New Balance ads, for me, they're always interesting just to see who's in them, and some of them. Does it get me to buy New Balance? No, I
I just
don't.
think they're interesting. Like I think Kike he just posted he had a new Adidas shoe or something that just came out. I don't know if it's anything that's mainstream or he just received them, but I think it's interesting to see, kind of who's sponsored by who and what they get. What I was interested to find out in the Shohei article was he actually donated 60,000 youth gloves to approximately like 20,000 Japanese elementary schools to make sure that every kid had his glove. And so it was a Shohei Ohtani glove. So all of these kids who are growing up one day could potentially be in the MLB while he's still playing or, however that works. And they had his glove growing up, which I thought, obviously great marketing, but really cool.
That is awesome. Look, I have nothing against sponsorships. Make your money, and especially if that sponsorship, if the money that you're making on that sponsorship is going to make you stay for the Dodgers for less money, then by all means, take that sponsorship. Do it. It's like, look, again, you're worth whatever anybody's willing to pay you. So if someone wants you, I'm sure Kershaw and Chris Taylor are like, hey, you want to start wearing some Skechers? We'll pay you to start wearing Skechers. Yeah, give me Skechers. Whatever, I'll do it.
It worked for Snoop.
Look, make as much money as you can, because there is going to be a point where you're not going to have those opportunities anymore. So,
That was actually something else I wanted to mention on the deferrals thing, kind of backing up a little bit. Doodle-doo, doodle-doo, doodle-doo. Just even the deferrals, if you think about it, because I don't know if a lot of players go through like financial planning classes and whatnot, but you do hear across sports how some players get a big payday and sometimes they end up kind of blowing through that money. I think the deferrals is also a great way to just have that kind of like savings account in a way waiting for you. Like you've got this money built in for X amount of years versus having to figure out, what to do with it, invest it, whatever. Not saying that players can't do that, but it's kind of nice just to know, okay, that's waiting out in the wings for me.
look, sometimes you got to protect them from themselves, right? And yeah, I think that is a great way of looking at it, especially like, look, the unicorn is different. I get it. But if you can make money off of your sponsorship, and then later on you got your baseball money coming, that to me makes a lot of sense. I would I'd rather do that. So
It almost seems like that would be in the best interest for a lot of players, which is why, again, I'm shocked that more teams, more players aren't working that out because it seems like that would be like the best of both worlds. Like you get a certain amount, but let's defer some of this too. And you've got that cash cow waiting kind
yeah,
of thing.
again, I think it's got to be the concern for a player is, will the team have that? Like, I'm not going to take deferrals from the Tampa Rays. I'm not taking. There are certain teams that I am not going to take deferrals on, just because I don't know. I'm not confident you're going to have that money. And the Dodgers, they have that advantage. They don't have that problem. So look, it has now become the new. There's that shirt. I don't know who put that shirt out, but it's the Dodgers logo, but it says deferrals. Have you seen it?
No.
Yeah. So I don't know who put that shirt out, but I think deferrals, if it's not become a part of the game, it has definitely become a part of the Dodgers. I think deferrals, even though there are so many contracts already out there, like I mentioned Max Scherzer earlier, Rafael Devers has deferrals, and there's look,
It's
there
not
are
a foreign concept.
no, it's not. It's
But how
again.
much of it is it more casual fans getting up in arms because this might be the first time they're hearing about it versus, more well-seasoned fans that are like, okay, this is part of the game. Am I frustrated that this one team gets to, whatever? Sure. But is it a lack of understanding perhaps of how baseball works? I don't know.
Look, if I mean, at this point, if Juan Soto signs with the Dodgers should just embrace their villainy. They should just embrace it and be like, "And what? What are you going to do about it?" You know,
We could, okay.
go full, go full Hollywood Hogan on them. Do the turn, do the NWO turn. Just make it happen. All right. We're going to wrap things up with talking about
The
even more
last of
money.
the last of our show me the money.
Oh, do it. You've been wanting to do this the whole time. Do it.
No, I can't. I like more the play on words with Shohei and like show me the money. That made my inner word nerd happy.
Word net alert. So we've been talking about money a lot on this episode, so we're going to end with more money. Amie, do you want to let us know about
money?
the World Series and the playoff share?
Yeah, so the postseason playoff pool share, again, another great article in The Athletic by Evan Drellich. They were just talking about like shares. So if you aren't familiar with how players get paid for the postseason, it really did a good job breaking all of it down. So there's full shares and partial shares, and the teams can also have like an award amount that they share with some of the staff members, and it was just really interesting. So the full share for the Dodgers playoff pool was worth $477,441, which interestingly enough was less than the last two World Series teams. So in 2022 and 2023. But the money split, the total amount between the 12 MLB postseason teams this year was a record $129.1 million. So each year, the playoff clubs vote on the amount of full, partial shares and dollar awards to give within the organization. So,
I'm just curious. Do we have an explanation as to why it was less?
no,
Okay.
I don't. I have the numbers for what it was. So 2022, it was a total of 107.5 million versus again the 129.1 record that we set this year. And then they gave away, or their shares were 563.47 in 2022, and then in 2023 it was 107.8 million. And this is the one where my writing got really, really small, but it was $506,263. So it was a difference of like 30-ish, 40,000.
Look, that's just another reason to come play for the Dodgers. I mean, if you want to get in the playoffs and you want to make more money, you're going to go with the teams that you know. And then look, for 12 years they've been in the playoffs. You know, there's so many incentives. Again, you hate on the Dodgers all you want, but that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to make it appealing.
Win.
They're supposed to make it appealing. They're supposed to make it so you want to come play for them. That's
damn you for winning. The article actually even broke down like how they get paid on a lot of this stuff. I'll make it easy, but it's based off of 60% of the gate receipts. So it's not even all of the games. So it's the first 4 World Series or Championship Series games, the first 3 Division Series games, and the first 2 wild card games. So just really interesting because obviously things changed too in 2022 when we went from 10 teams and we expanded to 12. But even the way that they break it out. So the World Series champion gets 36% of the pool and the loser gets 24%. And then it gets broken down further from there. So the 2 eliminated teams in the championship get 12% each. The 2 division series losers get 3.25%. There's not really a good way to the eliminated team.
You just called them losers.
I didn't mean to, I was trying to
losers.
The wild card eliminated team gets 0.75% each. So you can definitely see how it starts to diminish from 36%, 24 to 12 to 3.25 and then ending with 0.75. But hey, even if you made it in the wild card, you still get a small percentage.
Well, that's going to do it for this show. What did we learn today, Amie?
Money.
Well, my takeaway is that it's good to be the Dodgers, and why wouldn't you want to be a Dodger? That's what I took away.
It's
So
good to be in blue. I'm just saying.
that's
Championship
right.
series.
So the winter meetings start next week. So
Oh.
next week's episode, who knows when we record, we may have some news of some more signings. Because when we last left you, I did not think that Blake Snell was going to sign with the Dodgers. But
We actually talked about not doing an episode because we were like, there may not be any news. And then
exactly. And then it happened. um,
I did want to plug. So we have been doing like one fluffy episode a week. But we do have a special bonus episode this Thursday that we'll be recording. We're actually meeting with Melissa Ledke to talk about her book. Oh man. Okay, there we go. Green screen. Locker Room Talk. So essentially just her whole saga with suing the MLB after the 1977 World Series. So bonus episode.
Bonus episode, ladies and gentlemen. All
and
right.
I have taken all my notes. You can't see it, but these are all of my little Post-its on the side.
Wow, look at that. So that's going to do it for this episode. For those of you, again, your homework assignment, if you're listening to us on the audio portion, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, rate us, write us a review, help spread the word about the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, you make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, hit that notification button, give us a thumbs up, leave us comments. We got the comments corner, we want to engage with you, and the thumb of judgment is making an appearance. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media, on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amie Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. Nos despedimos con un beso. Amie, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.